What's going on, everybody? So I wanted to show you some stuff, man. A lot of people having conversations about what is going on with the tariffs and Trump, the president of China, obviously Putin, Ukraine. And you guys know throughout the years, I've had a lot to say about these kind of things. I've been kind of silent recently about some of the stuff going on politically because my only real concern, it's been the same since 2014. As many of you guys know, I believe that the Lord had told me the first time that Trump was going to win. And the word the Lord gave me was, if you build it in the season, I'm going to bless it. Trump won. Obviously, you see everything that we're building. I got out the army. It all came to pass. Now, there was some, I said, hey, I believe Trump's going to win 2 terms, 2 times. Obviously, most of us thought that that was going to be in 2020. It did not happen like that. We were surprised. Didn't see it happen the way it was going to happen. But nevertheless, he ended up doing 2 terms, and it kind of was the same thing, right? If you build it in the season, I'm going to bless it. And so one of the reasons I just knew like this couldn't have been, the end when Biden got in. I was kind of confused because I said, Lord, I'm not done building. We just started building. We're just starting to see, the breakthrough and talking about how Israel and Jeremiah was talking about they should survive and thrive in Babylon, regardless of what's going on in the world. We are part of the kingdom. And our king is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Yes, we're affected by the things that are going on. We cannot be ignorant of Satan's devices, so we have to pay attention, but we don't put our hope in a man. We don't put our hope in a party. And so after Trump won, I was just kind of like, hey, I'm relieved because this other party is clearly pushing, this Antichrist agenda that was turning America into a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. And so I didn't really pay a lot of attention to some of the things that were going on. But I went, I prayed, I looked into some of this stuff so I can be informed. I believe that people need to study for themselves. I believe that there's, this media is the biggest false prophet, right? The media is trying to tell us how to think, especially here in America. There's a lot of propaganda. And so, we as believers, we have to love the truth. We have to put kingdom over everything, kingdom over being a Democrat, kingdom over being, excuse me, Republican, kingdom over being black. Like we are part of God's kingdom. Now we are on this earth to be kingdom ambassadors, a royal priesthood. And so, when the people say, oh, Christians should stay out of it, don't be involved, that's nonsense. The prophets were very involved in what was going on with the kingdoms, what was going on with the nations. They gave many warnings. And so if you think God has been pleased with the things that have been going on in America, you have got it sadly mistaken. It matters to God. And it matters that his people are silent. And it matters to him that people are ignorant and that they're quiet about certain things. It matters to God what happens to the unborn. It matters to God the demonic agendas that they're trying to push. And it matters to God that the church is silent. We see this with Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham, Lot, all throughout the Bible. So without further ado, I don't want to hold you guys long. You guys know what's going on with the tariffs. You guys know that there's these different alliances and allies, and the Bible says there'll be wars and rumors of wars. First thing I want you guys to know, God is in control. Sometimes we might go through some seasons that are uncomfortable, but God is always in control. So don't fear, don't stress. I don't care what you see on the news. As long as you're full of the Holy Spirit, you stay tapped in with God. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So who's in us is bigger than any political power, bigger than any problem, witch, warlock, anything that can go on in this world. Our peace is in God, and he's the Prince of Peace. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because I'm about to show you guys a bunch of clips that I believe people just need to see for perspectives to, kind of be challenged. All right. You got to understand, we have been paying these tariffs in America to, China and other places for a long time. If you Google it, you can look up places like Pew Research. All right. You just look from 1992 to 2023. It's just going up, 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 up. And so, essentially Trump is really doing everything that he said he was going to do, but you have to also understand that everything the media has really told us has always kind of been a lie because they have agendas, they have donors, they have people that, are in their pockets. So I'm just going to let the clips speak for themselves and then we'll explain it. But I think I need to use my platform to show people this, and you can share this video with people who you might have these debates and conversations with. But I think people need this kind of information and they need to see it. And the false prophet media is not going to show it to you. So we're going to start with this because I know people's time is short. I want to play this, and then we'll go a couple different places.
People want to go back to the 70s. Is in the 70s, the largest share of our GDP was in the middle class. And that was not separate from the fact that 25% of our economy was in manufacturing. Right, our economy was an upward funnel of wealth. And the largest share, which used to be in manufacturing, which gave a lot of working class people a middle class standard of living, now the largest share is in real estate and finance. That manufacturing is still being done. It's just being done in other countries. It is still
for wages we will not work for.
That's exactly right. You're right, Bill. That's what the tariffs are for. They are to make American workers more competitive in the global market. Why are we accepting that there should be a race to the bottom? You know, China, what is its competitive advantage over us? It's that it pays slave wages. Why should we accept that? They're still manufacturing our PPE, our pharmaceuticals, our cars. They're making all that stuff. Trump says there are 5 industries that we cannot have any kind of national security without having a stake in them. Pharmaceuticals, lumber, steel, aluminum, and I forget what the 5th one was. But these are really important that we have a stake in the manufacturing of the things that we need as a nation so that when China decides that it wants to go to war against us, we're not relying on them for steel and aluminum in order to fight them.
Okay, well, at least that's an answer.
Now, that makes 100% sense, right? Now, the media is going to tell you, hey, just everything he's doing is bad. Everything he's doing is crazy. But I'm going to show you through these clips a couple things. Number one, that we have to be careful of what the media is telling us. You got to do your own research. You got to pray about everything. I'm going to show you some clips from the 80s. I'm going to show you some clips from the 90s and a couple more explanations. And you can share this with anybody that is afraid, that is scared, that just is not informed about what's really going on. All right. This is just an example of why we can't trust what the media is saying. I found this little gem. I want to play it for you. You guys know who this guy is.
But she's had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
Well, no. If she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
And
so if she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu,
she should not get it again.
No, she doesn't need it because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
I think we have one of the
interesting, huh? Completely different than what he was saying a couple of years ago.
The lowest mortality rates in the world. We're going to take a look.
We had 900 deaths on a single day.
We will take a look
this week.
Ready?
You can check it out.
Please get me the mortality rate.
Yeah.
Kaylee's right here. I heard we have one of the lowest, maybe the lowest mortality rate anywhere in the world. You have the numbers, please? Because I heard we had the best mortality rate.
The case data similarly situated countries, as Dr. Burks points out, and this is
number one low mortality rate. I hope you show the scenario because it shows what fake news is all about. Okay,
I don't think I'm fake news, but we'll put
there you were.
We'll put our stats on.
You said we had the worst mortality rate in the world, and we have the best
during this. So you see right there, I'm just giving you a couple examples because I know there's going to be people who are watching this for the first time. Why we can't just trust what the media says. They should just report the news, but they don't report the news. They're trying to make you see things a certain way. Here's one more for you, then we'll go forward.
Kamala Harris, it changed my opinion of that guy. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump, the thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
Why would you place your faith in somebody who said that there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally?
If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. That's why it bothers me.
So bottom line, right? You see it. I showed you 3 clips just to show you why you can't trust the media. Obviously, we could spend all day on that. Now I'm going to show you some stuff from the 1980s, 1990s, where Trump was talking about this stuff with the tariffs way back then. And I'm going to show you that he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do and why he's doing what he's going to do. Now, are we going to, now, obviously, when Trump, you know, because of his personality and his demeanor, the way he says things, obviously, China's not going to just respond with, oh, yes, sir, Mr. Trump, you know, we're going to do whatever you say. When you negotiate, this has to happen. If he just bows down to what Trump's saying, he's going to look weak. So we're going to see if this is going to work. But I want to show you, the Bible says without a vision, the people perish. I want to show you, because the media is not going to show you, this is what he's doing. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I want to show you this is not like a gimmick or something, whether you agree or not. He's been saying the same stuff since the 80s. Listen.
So much that when we give this kind of money to the wealthiest countries in the world, and yet for our own people, the homeless, the sick, the poor, the farmers who are really going through hell right now, those people we're not helping. And why should we? I think it's ridiculous. And this country shouldn't be raising taxes. We ought to be lowering taxes. We should have a surplus, not a deficit, because the kind of money that I'm talking about, and you can call them, as the gentleman before said, you can call it a tax, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but those countries should be paying us major billions of dollars, and you won't have any deficits whatsoever, and then we'll be able to help the poor and the sick and the homeless and the farmers and everybody else. Well, I think, just to answer your first part, I believe it's very important that you have free trade. But we don't have free trade right now, because if you want to go to Japan, or if you want to go to Saudi Arabia or various other countries, it's virtually impossible for an American to do business in those countries. Virtually impossible. And I have many friends, they go over to Japan. They can't open up anything. They need approvals. They need this, that. In the meantime, Japan comes over to this country. They're buying up Wall Street. They're buying up all of Manhattan's real estate. They're buying, which is fine as far as I'm concerned, because they're paying premium prices that put people like myself in a very good position if I ever want to sell something. So the fact is that you don't have free trade. We think of it as free trade, but you right now don't have free trade. We don't give anything to our farmers. Our farmers are dying. There's no question about it. Farms that were in for generations and families.
What you're about to see through these next couple of clips, it's almost like, for lack of a better word, Trump is prophesying what's going to happen to America. He's telling you what the problem is way back in the 80s and the 90s, and then you see that it came to pass, it happened, and this was one of the reasons he wanted to run for president.
They're being taken away. The homeless are all over the streets of the major cities, the sick and the problems, and yet we'll give billions of dollars in defending countries that have 5 times more money than we can ever hope to have. It's ridiculous. I'm not talking about taxing. I think that people should make a contribution, and a major contribution, other countries, to this country for what we're doing to keep their freedom and to keep them free and to allow them to be free. And would you rather have that, or would you rather see this country to go totally bust in another couple of years, because this country cannot afford to defend Japan and every other country in the world? It just cannot afford it.
It wouldn't be a tax. It would be more a payment in kind.
What about your political aspirations? They've been bantered about in the papers a little bit. Do you have any?
I have zero political aspiration. I run a company. I believe I do it better than anyone. I enjoy what I do. I deal with all of the same people that we're talking about. I deal with the Saudis. I deal with the Japanese. I don't think anybody sells much more real estate than I do to the Japanese, the Saudis, etc. They buy the most expensive apartments in the world that I happen to build. And I know the people, and I like the people. But that doesn't get away from the fact that this country is being totally ripped off by foreign countries, many of whom I deal with. And I think it's very unfortunate for the United States.
Listen, my point is, when you're seeing all of these old clips I'm playing, this is long before he became president. He's been saying this stuff since the 80s, the 90s, foreshadowing, like, look, this is the problem that I see. This is what's going to happen in America if we don't fix it.
You're going out to New Hampshire in October, obviously, too. I mean, there's somebody there pushing you to run for the presidency. Why are you doing this?
Well, I had heard 2 weeks ago that they're pushing, and they're very much pushing to have Trump run for the presidency. I'm not interested in running for the presidency. I'm greatly honored. The man that's doing it is a highly respected man who's been responsible for a lot of people's success. And I am honored. I'm not interested in running for the presidency.
There was a great push for a New York office, whether it be mayor or to Senate, and there was a lot of push. Is that something that at some time in the future you'd be interested in, or?
I have zero interest in running for political office. I love what I do, and I really believe I do it better than anyone else. And I think the track record shows that. But if I can point out the deficiencies in the way our system is going, if I can point out certain stupidities, because that's really what it is, it's a lack of common sense and a lack of business sense that we're defending countries that are essentially far wealthier than we are, based on a current balance sheet. If I can point that out, and if somebody will act and do something about it, I've done a great service to the country, and that's what I want to do.
I think that's it, unless you want to go over something that we didn't cover, or you want to reset.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Good luck.
We're done.
I'll watch. It's on tonight.
Strong opinions on anything.
That's especially politicians.
That's right.
They have, I mean, I watch these guys. And
You believe you'd win?
it's just incredible.
Mr. Trump, could I just get you listening?
Yeah, sure.
So it might be on tonight. I can't tell you who's even doing the piece because when
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing. This country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage of.
For some people, the ultimate goal in life.
Heard what he said, right? So consistently you hear him saying the same thing. He says, look, America is getting taken advantage of by these other countries, right? The tariffs, all that kind of stuff. They want to come sell good. He's been saying the same thing since way before he became a politician.
Life has been becoming the president of the United States. Would you like to be the president of the United States?
I really don't believe I would.
Notice they've been asking him over and over, and obviously you see he's a lot younger here. Over and over again, they ask him, are you going to run for president? Are you going to run for president?
But I would like to see somebody as the president who could do the job. And there are very capable people in this country.
Most people who are capable are not running for office. Most men are frightened of politics today.
It is a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
It is a shame. The most capable people are not necessarily running for political office. And that is a very sad commentary on the country. They had major corporations and they had this and that, but they are not running for political office.
Why wouldn't someone like yourself run for political office? You have all the money that you possibly need. You've accomplished a great deal, even though you are only 34. I know there's a lot of things that you possibly can do in the years ahead. Why wouldn't you dedicate yourself to public service?
Because I think it's a very mean life. I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country, but I see it as being a mean life. And I also see it as somebody with strong views. And somebody with the kind of views that are maybe a little bit unpopular, which may be right, but maybe unpopular, wouldn't necessarily have a chance of getting elected against somebody with no great brain, but a big smile.
Let me just say this real quick for the, I don't want to say a mean word, the ignorant people in the comments. Trump is not the Antichrist, all right? We've talked about this before. The Antichrist is going to be liked. The media is going to love him. The liberal gays and all these people pushing these demonic agendas are going to love him. They hate Trump, right? The Antichrist is going to be somebody who's going to fool the world. He's going to be smooth. And there is a verse that even talks about he's not going to have like a desire for women. Some people, suggest that he might even be LGBTQ, but, some people, it wasn't Obama. It's not, Trump. You know what I'm saying? I think we can talk about that from a different time, but I do not believe the Antichrist is going to be from America, from what I've studied.
Well, and that's a sad commentary for the political process.
Television, in a strange way, has ruined that process, hasn't it?
It's hurt the process very much. I mean, the Abraham Lincolns of the world, Abraham Lincoln would probably not be electable today because of television. He was not a handsome man. And I've often said the happiest people and the most contented people that I've seen, and I know the very wealthy, I know the moderately wealthy, and I guess I know people a lot less than that. But the happiest people tend to be the people that are making a nice income, that really enjoy their life and their family life, and not the people of tremendous wealth that are constantly driven to achieve more and more success.
But when is enough enough? Obviously, there must have been a time, a point when you knew that you would be secure for the rest of your life, your family, your relatives, whomever. Why do you go on?
Well, I go on really because I enjoy it. I really enjoy when I think about my business. I think about it literally 24 hours a day, and I really enjoy it. If I didn't, I will stop. There's no question in my mind that I'll stop, because I do understand it's all basically a game. We're all here to play the game, and we're all hopefully going to play it well. But some people obviously can't play it well, because if everyone played it well, you'd have a pretty unusual situation. But the game is being played now by me and by plenty of other people, and the people that enjoy it are the people that are going to win it, in my
The
opinion.
reason people want to go back to
I played this clip at the beginning. We're going to play it again for all of you who have just joined live. So I showed you the Fauci clip. I showed you Trump with, what was that guy's name? Is his name Chris Wallace? To show you why I say that the media is the false prophet. If Trump was the Antichrist, the media would be praising him. All right, bottom line, because the media is going to be one of the biggest tools of the Antichrist to convince the people, spread the message, or whatever. So now, to get back on this tariffs thing, I wanted to show you the old clips to show you, like, this is not something that, you know, I'm a big believer out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. When Trump was very young, he was saying the same things about the tariffs, about the taxes, about the other countries ripping us off, long before he ever ran for political office. You've seen it. What was that? It looked like the 80s, the 90s, and then the 2000s, right? And these people are you going to run for president? And he's saying the same thing over and over again. So it's not like this is a gimmick. It's not, and we're not even saying like that this man is perfect or that everything that he does is right. But what I'm showing you is he's consistently been saying the same thing. And whether you like it or not, if you look at the data, he is correct. And so what he's trying to do with these tariffs, and we'll see if it's going to be a success, is you companies, think about it this way. China, you know why China wanted Biden and Kamala to be in office? Because they don't respect them, right? And so, you know, we're giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. We have all this money for, you know, these illegal immigrants, but we can't take care of our veterans. We can't take care of, you know, even in Chicago, they were getting upset. How is it that you have all this money for these people, these migrants that just came? You're giving them cell phones, all that stuff. You got all this money for Ukraine, but you can't take care of us. So whether you like it or not, that is what Trump is trying to do. Hey, you guys need to pay. We've protected you with our military. We've traded for you. You know, it's been unfair. The tariffs, you know, coming in, you guys have been taking advantage. So China, they want Kamala, right? Zelensky, they want Kamala to win because they want the money to keep coming in. You know, and what's so strange about America is the only place where people can live in America, crap on America, hate America, expect America to help everybody else outside of America, right? But you can't stand America and you bash America. You live in America, but you bash America. You don't see that in other places, you know, and the Bible talks about strong delusion and all that. So for those of you who don't understand the tariff things, I'm going to show you this clip, and there's going to be another clip that follows. I think they did the best job at breaking it down.
to the 70s is in the 70s, the largest share of our GDP was in the middle class. And that was not separate from the fact that 25% of our economy was in manufacturing. Our economy was an upward funnel of wealth. And the largest share, which used to be in manufacturing, which gave a lot of working class people a middle class standard of living, now the largest share is in real estate and finance. That manufacturing is still being done. It's just being done in other countries. It is still
for wages we will not work for.
That's exactly right. You're right, Bill. That's what the tariffs are for. They are to make American workers more competitive in the global market. Why are we accepting that there should be a race to the bottom? You know, China, what is its competitive advantage over us? It's that it pays slave wages. Why should we accept that? They're still manufacturing our PPE, our pharmaceuticals, our cars. They're making all that stuff. Trump says there are 5 industries that we cannot have any kind of national security without having a stake in them. Pharmaceuticals, lumber, steel, aluminum, and I forget what the 5th one was. But these are really important, that we have a stake in the manufacturing of the things that we need as a nation, so that when China decides that it wants to go to war against us, we're not relying on them for steel and aluminum in order to fight them.
Okay, well, at least that's an answer.
So
that's what I'm working for.
So you're saying when it looks chaotic and unpredictable from the outside, that there actually is a master plan when it comes to these tariffs?
It is not chaotic. And the only one who thinks it's chaotic is someone who's being silly. He said reciprocal tariffs.
Nobody expected him to announce 50% tariffs this morning.
He needed to break some guy in Ontario who said he was going to tax American energy 25%. The president of the United States in the White House says, oh, no, you won't, and breaks him. Breaks him in what? By a tweet and a truth. And you think that's chaotic? You know what I think that is? I think that is the thank God we have a president who's taking care of us. Because if you were in one of those states and you thought your energy prices were going to go up 25%, and you said, where's the president? And all of a sudden he came down like thunder to make that end, you'd say, cool. I'm glad that's the guy in the White House. And that's what we've got.
I'm doing this to do the
Well, I'm going to play this first.
right thing for our country. We have been ripped off by China for a long time. And I told that to President Xi. And yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade.
For the first time in your lives, you're going to actually think about the Americans who make the products, the Americans who produce these products and work in these factories. It's time for us to take care of them.
We make the most cars here. We employ the most. We export the most.
Businesses want to sell in America, then move your business here and hire American workers.
So what would you say to people in the auto industry who are worried about that timeline and how quickly that can shift?
Buy American.
President Trump ran on tariffs. What we just saw was a president who did what he said he was going to do. Every single day, the media said Trump is running on tariffs, and people said, we know that. Trump is running on bringing back manufacturing. People said, we know that. They wouldn't pull the lever for him.
President Trump is taking this economy in a different direction.
I think they're not counting the factories that are going to be built. President Trump yesterday announced $5 trillion in domestic commitments to build factories in America, right?
But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks workers have faced for so many years.
A recent study estimates that the total number of American jobs lost due to NAFTA is about 1 million.
They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. America is back.
So I threw that little commercial in there that I found because it shows what I was showing you, all these clips, that he's been saying the same thing forever.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. The Chinese stock market opens down 10%. Take your bets now, folks. How long do you think it is until China gives Trump what he wants? No one wins a trade war with the world's #1 consumer. It's just not going to work out. The tariffs are working. The rest of the world is coming to the table. They're ready to drop theirs. And once again, the liberals were wrong.
You also recently said that the Middle East would be better off with Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, and Assad in power. How does...
I didn't say Assad, but we certainly have not gained anything with Gaddafi. And you look at what happened. I mean, look at Libya. Look at Iraq. Iraq used to be no terrorists. He would kill the terrorists immediately. It was like, now it's the Harvard of terrorism. Iraq. If you look at Iraq from years ago, I'm not saying he was a nice guy. He was a horrible guy. But it was a lot better than it is right now. Right now, Iraq is a training ground for terrorists. Right now, Libya, nobody even knows Libya. Frankly, there is no Iraq and there is no Libya. It's all broken up. They have no control. Nobody knows what's going on.
The world would be better off with Saddam Hussein
100%.
and Gaddafi in power.
100%. Now, as far as Assad is concerned,
What about the human rights abuses?
Let's talk. Well, you don't think they're happening now? They're worse now than they ever were. People are getting their heads chopped off. They're being drowned. Right now, they're far worse than they were ever under Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi.
Trump and the Americans, it has made me even more determined than ever to restore our unique country through a great repeal act when Labour falls at the next election. I don't particularly care if we're liked by the rest of the world. I care if we're respected, because right now, Britain is a joke, and it has been for some time. I want the British government to put the British people at the top of the agenda. Yeah. We should make no apologies for that. Learn from Trump. Let's be unapologetically patriotic. Slash tax across the board. Enforce the border. Deport those with no right to be here. Accept biological reality. Fight back against wokery. Bulldoze nonsensical foreign aid. Eradicate DEI. Deliver sensible infrastructure. Carpet bomb public sector waste. Brutally crack down on crime. And plenty more. Let's make Great Britain great again. Thank you.
So if you guys check this out in Argentina, I want to show you again. I'm going to end the video showing you the same stuff I showed you in the beginning of the video. This is I believe the president of Argentina. These are the headlines in the beginning, right? how they were trying to portray him in the media. So you see, bottom line is the media was saying one thing, and now they're saying like this guy is the best thing that ever happened to Argentina. We got a couple more clips when we're done.
People say Trump is a racist only because before he ran for office, I never heard nobody call him a racist. People call him an ass.
But he's saying racist stuff now.
But what's racist stuff that he's saying?
The Haitian cat stuff?
What's racist about that?
Well, saying Haitians are
prejudice.
eating cats?
Yeah, Haitians are eating
or,
cats.
Or that when he was like a landlord owning all these places, he was very discriminatory against black residents.
I'm discriminatory against black residents in certain buildings. I don't want certain living in my building.
As long as you say it with
If
the
I go
chest.
home tomorrow and I see 17 in the lobby with do-rags on, I'm talking to management like, who is these niggas? I'm from the hood. I don't want to see them in my building.
Keep the YNs
You worked hard to leave?
I worked hard to get away from these. I'm not on them, I love them, but it's like I don't want to go to sleep and hear these in my lobby either. But we don't want to be honest because we feel like, oh, Trump is racist. No, he's not. A racist man is not going to let Jennifer Hudson and her family stay in his building after her family was killed. A racist man is not going to send the jet to pick up Nelson Mandela in Africa once he was freed from prison. A racist white man. Why is he doing that if he's racist?
African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right?
I've seen Democrats on TV for the past week scream Elon Musk, Musk. It's been quite invigorating, actually. I'm really enjoyed it. And what's funny about it to me is that you're mad at the guy that found the fraud, but not mad at the people that wasted your money. Here in Congress, we clearly can't cut a budget, so I really thank Elon for doing our job for us.
Your head is bloody. So we gotta move to the class. Watch out.
So, with that being said, I showed you a lot of information. I'm going to show you one more thing. This is what they're trying to do, all right? So, the imports from China, Americans have been paying tariffs on imports from China. You see here 1992 all the way up to 2023. And what Trump is trying to do is, look, we need to change that. You guys have been making a killing off of us, right? And we need to take care of America. And that's why I showed you the videos from the 80s, the videos from the 90s, the videos from the early 2000s, where he has been consistently saying the same thing for years. Now, I don't, we're hoping that China and these people, they make some kind of deal. I do believe, like I said, I'm not going to be surprised if Trump turns it around, because the word that God gave me back in 2014 was, if you build it in the season, I'm going to bless it. So 2014, I got out in the Army. 2018, you see this building that I'm in, everything that God told me, it happened. Now, Biden getting in there was a little bit confusing, because I'm like, okay, God, we're not done building yet. The way everything happened, most people couldn't see it happen like that. You see the videos where I showed you guys when Trump won, that I had said that I believe he's going to win 2 terms. People ignore those videos, and not to say that I got it all right, but the bottom line is he won again. And I believe it's because it's a warning to the church and a period of grace. Like, God allowed Biden to get in there, and you've seen how bad it got. I think there's going to be a lot more things to get exposed, but the most thing is, this woke agenda. And then, Kamala, like, this woman had, Meg Thee Stallion up there twerking that's what she thought of American people. Like, let me get this filthy rapper to get out here and shake her butt for votes. That's like, what do you think? How do you think that God is looking at that? And it's not just that one thing. This is the same people that they had the abortion clinics out there at the DNC rallies on wheels. These are the same people, pushing that LGBTQ agenda. These are the same people who want, men and women's sports and men and women's bathroom. These are the same people trying to indoctrinate your children through education, right? Through entertainment, through the music. It's not to say that one side, right, like the conservatives are just so much better and holy, but would you rather have someone pandering to Christians as opposed to being openly against them? I would, right? Because these people are pushing antichrist policies. These people are delusional. That's why I told you guys, be very careful getting caught up in all this. Israel is this and Israel is that. Be very careful, because one thing you got to look, and I'm going to end the video with this because I've said it a million times. The Bible says that the Antichrist spirit is already moving throughout the earth. When you see people gathering and coming into agreement, you have to look and say, what is the spirit that's making these people come into agreement? Why is it that the people who wanted us to get vaccinated and wear masks are the same people who want to push the LGBTQ agenda, want to push men and women's sports, wanted to push the Black Lives Matter thing, which ended up being a scam, right? Are also against Israel? Like, why is it that these people always seem to be on the same side of these things? That is a red flag for me. Now, we don't have to fear. I don't think we're about to have a full-blown, World War III right now. I think that this is more of like, they would have rather Kamala Harris would have been in there, or Joe Biden or somebody, because China would have just kept taking advantage of us. But now they got to negotiate with Trump, and Trump is going to do it in a way where, his demeanor and things, the president of China, he's not going to just say, okay, yes, sir, Trump, because then he's going to look weak to his people. So they're going to have these tough negotiations. But I don't believe at this point that it's about to lead to war. Why? Because the Lord gave me that word. If you build it in this season, I'm going to bless it. I believe that God allowed Biden to get in there. People could see it. People woke up to the truth. That's why Trump won by a landslide, right? And people were prophesying about that red wave. It eventually did come, but it didn't come the way people thought, because people needed to see, like, yo, even people who weren't Christians and believers were like, nah, these Democrats are turning America into something that is just, it's too much. It's crazy. So we have to say no. That's why Trump won. It's a season of grace. Now, you best believe that after he gets out, if we allow a Democrat or one of these woke people, they talking about AOC and Bernie, oh, trust me, the worst possible thing that could happen is somebody like that get in office, because they will make America a Sodom and Gomorrah, and God is going to deal with us accordingly. So I believe this is a season for the church to build. I believe this is the season for the church to prepare. I believe that we're going to have great revival. I just don't feel in my spirit like we're going to just, wake up in a couple of weeks and be in a full-blown war. I'm praying for the president. I'm praying for everybody, but I'm hoping that this turns around and America, just like with was it the Argentina president? The media saying bad, bad, bad. Now they love him. If Trump can somehow pull this off and, start getting some fair tariffs and things like that on behalf of America, to change, we might have to go through a rough season, but we're digging ourselves out of a hole, because we've been, as you see, Trump has been saying from the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. That's why I showed you the videos. He said, look, I don't know how America can sustain this. Eventually, we're going to be in a ditch and we're going to have to deal with it. And that is what he's doing. People get mad about the Doge thing, but it's like, why are you mad? We've complained for years about the education system being horrible. We've complained for years about, different things in America and the government. And so he goes in there and he creates a task force to find out where they're wasting the money. They go and tell these people who've been working from home, like, hey, we're gonna cut you a check. It's time to go. You got to get out of here, right? Wasting tax dollars. But because the media tells you this guy's bad, remember, the Bible says they're gonna call good evil, evil good. Now, we're not saying that Trump is just a complete good person, but you can clearly see, as with his flaws, that he loves this country and he knows what he's talking about, because he's been saying it from the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, and it came true. So as much as you hate him, you don't like him, the truth is he's been right about a lot of stuff. He said that the virus thing came from China. The media told you he's racist for saying that. And then what did they say later? It came from China. I showed you the clip of Fauci. He told you Fauci was a weasel. It came proven, right? He told you about, the donors and the self-interest groups and all that stuff. Like, you can go with what the media is saying. Just he's the worst ever. To me, in my opinion, he's probably one of the best presidents we've ever had. Is he perfect? No. Is he someone we should worship? No. Do we make excuses for everything he does and says? No. He's not my God. He's the president of the United States of America, and I prefer him over Kamala or any of these Democrats. Amen. www.marcusrogersministries.org if you want to support what we're doing here in Chicago. I need all the help that I can get. If you feel led, put a seed. We are working, we are building, we are growing. We're expecting God for more. We're trying to get community centers, all that kind of stuff. And if not, just keep streaming the music. I'm working on some other things, and God is gonna take care of it anyway. If it's God's will, it's God's bill, right? Love you guys. Be blessed. Have a wonderful day. I'm about to go hit the gym, get a little workout in. Oh, by the way, go look at the latest. There was a video. I'll just put it in the description, but go check out some of the latest uploads.